Good day, students. In this civic education lesson, we are continuing with our topic, the topic we introduced the previous week, which is pillars of democracy. You remember in the last lesson, we discussed the Constitution and the strong institutions as pillars of democracy. In this lesson, we are starting with civil society. Civil society is another pillar of democracy, which we are going to discuss at this lesson. What is civil society? They are groups and individuals that operate outside the government and business men. That is, they don't belong to the government, they are not part of the government, and they are not part of business activities. They don't do business for profit. That is civil society. It is like where you divide a circle into three like this. One is the government, the other is the business, while the final one now is the civil society. The government, business, and civil society. Now, what they are, they can be individuals and organizations, and they are not profit-making ventures, but they protect the rights and interests of the people, the rights and interests of the people of the society. So how does civil society function as a pillar of democracy? First, they enlighten the people on their rights. They make sure people know their rights. They help to create awareness about the rights of the people. Secondly, they call the attention of the government on the needs of the people. What the people need, they let government know it and push the government, pressure the government to do it. They are just like pressure groups, the type of pressure groups we call promotional groups. Some of them are like promotional groups. They call the attention of government and influence the government to do what the people need. Third is that they criticize the negative policies of the government in order for government to take correction. So the civil society criticizes the negative policies that will not benefit the people. Civil society criticizes it very well. Then they defend people's human rights, especially those civil society groups that are involved in human rights activities. They defend people's human rights. They initiate bills for laws in the legislature for the benefit of the society. When before laws are made, they are initiated as bills that will go to the legislature for them to discuss and then make it a law. Civil society groups do initiate such bills sometimes so that government will make laws that will be of benefit to the society. You can see that with that, the civil society helps people to get involved, to participate well in a democratic process. That is one, that these are the ways the civil society acts as a pillar of democracy. The next is the mass media. The mass media is also called the fourth estate of the realm. The fourth estate of the realm. Look at the spelling. The fourth estate of the realm. Fourth estate of the realm. So it refers to the radio, television, newspapers, and even the social media right now. They are all together as the mass media, or we may look at the social media separately, but the mass media is inclusive of all outfits, all organizations that help in disseminating information to the public and getting people's feelings and feedback to the government. They inform people. How do they act as pillar of democracy? First, they inform the people on what is happening in the society. Secondly, all the news we listen to, all the news we read and hear, they come from the mass media. And without them, we can't know what is happening in our country, in our society. Secondly, they expose the secrets of political actors that are detrimental to democracy. Secrets of political actors that are detrimental, that are secrets that can harm democracy. Secrets of political actors, politicians that can make mess of democracy, the civil, I mean the mass media exposes them. Third, they give social and political orientation to the society. The mass media gives orientation to the society, helps the society, to be aware of what is happening and to help them informing their opinions concerning public issues. They host public debates and involve people in discussing public issues. They help people to have a voice, to have a voice. They help people to have a voice and to show their voice, to show that they know they have an opinion. When people have suggestions to make to the government, they often make it through the mass media. Finally, they help to give feedback to the government on the needs and interests of the people. Government may make a rule today. It is the civil society that will let government know what people are thinking or what people are feeling about the rule they have made. That is what we call feedback. Feedback. Say it again. Feedback. Feedback. So the civil society, I mean the mass media, helps in giving feedback to the government about what the people are feeling about its policies. Okay, that is about the mass media. The next pillar of democracy we are going to see is political parties and pressure groups. Political parties and pressure groups. Political parties and pressure groups are organized groups that support the growth and development of democracy in the following ways. Let's look at how they support the democracy. Political parties and pressure groups are groups of people. One, so political parties contest elections. Pressure groups do not contest elections, but in any case, both of them support democracy in one way or another. First of all, they mobilize the people to take up their roles, such as voting and other forms of political activities that they have to engage in. Are you with me? Secondly, they promote political education for society. For the society, promote political education. They help people to get to know the things they are supposed to know as members of the society. Thirdly, they help to train political leaders for good leadership. Political parties and pressure groups help to train political leaders, train future leaders to participate well when it becomes their turn to take up the leadership of the society. Pressure groups influence government policies for the benefit of the society. That is pressure groups. And finally, political parties that are not in power often act as opposition parties to control the government. When we are talking about opposition party, we are saying that some parties can be in power while others are not in power. Those ones that are not in power are called opposition parties. And with such parties that are not in power, government is always cautious of what they will do, because those parties will always talk to them, try to correct them, criticize them constructively, and try to expose all the wrong things they may be doing as a government. Are we together? All right. The next pillar of democracy is the people. We always say that power belongs to the people. And that is why we say that the people is a pillar of democracy. How are people a pillar of democracy? The people are the bedrock of democracy. It is a fact that power belongs to the people in a democracy. This is what we refer to as popular sovereignty. That power belongs to the people is known as popular sovereignty. How are the people a pillar of democracy? Look at popular sovereignty in the video. You can see it. That is to show that power belongs to the people. First of all, the people exercise their power through the electorate, by voting in or voting out different governments. It is the people that vote in a government or vote them out when they are not doing well. So that is one way they exercise their sovereignty. Secondly, the people set agenda for the government and ensure that such agenda become policies. This is called the initiative. The people set agenda for the government and also ensure that those agenda they've set also become policies. When government is overlooking a particular area of life, the people will call attention of the government and let the government know that they are overlooking something. Thirdly, the people can recall representatives who are not representing them well in the legislature. If you are a member of the House of Senate or a House of Representatives or the legislature generally, and you are not representing your people well, like in the State House of Assembly or any other assembly at all, the people can organize and recall you and then send someone else that can represent them better. That is how would the people exercise their power as a pillar of democracy. Next, the people can carry out protests and demonstrations to push the government to be responsible. When government is not showing responsibility, people will carry out protests, and demonstrations asking the government to sit up, to wake up to their duties and responsibilities. Next, the people can give feedback to the government on policies through the mass media, public debates, town hall meetings, and also the social media. The social media right now acts as a very strong force, a very strong power in the hands of the people. The people can write on all social media platforms to let the government know what they are not doing well. Again, and finally, the government always comes back to the people. The government always comes back to the people for fresh mandates when their tenure of office expires after 4 years. When we are discussing the Constitution as a pillar of democracy, we said that the Constitution always sets limits of tenure of office, the number of years a government will be in power. So when that time is over, the government will come back to the people for a fresh mandate, and it is only the people that can do it. We said that only people can vote in or vote out a particular government. That is when people exercise their power as a pillar of democracy. Are we together? All right. Let's take an assignment. Number 1, explain 5 roles of the mass media in a democracy. Number 2, what roles do the people play as pillars of democracy? Number 1, explain 5 roles of the mass media in a democracy. Number 2, what roles do the people play as pillars of democracy? Okay, we can say now that we are done with this topic, and we will continue with another topic in the next lesson when the time comes for the next lesson. Remain safe and remain safe. Remain happy and at home. See you.